I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow. Let us take just a moment for those people in Houston. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life, health, and strength. And Lord, we ask you just to bless those people around this table, Lord God, and a special blessing for those people in Houston. Lord, we ask you just to bless those who are on their way to Rotary and motto, service above self, Lord, as we continue to carry that out. We thank you, we magnify you, and glorify you this morning in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? Good afternoon. The bell is already sounded, so just get your money out. Evan. Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning.
Bill, good morning.
Good morning. It's
Glad
good
to
to
have
be
you
here.
back.
It's always a handshake.
Several little items of business this morning to take care of. Phil, I need $1 more for you.
Yes, sir. What for this time?
The reason, I know you paid $1 in advance for the district governor, but that was not enough. So we need $1 from you because the district governor was here and it was pushy.
Was it tough?
It was tough. I'll tell you, he had a PowerPoint presentation. He kept going and going. And then Reinhardt got up and then he kept going and going. We never got out of here. We were lucky. Rick, we were outside and no one showed up for the class. And we found out today's going to be the first day. Good morning, sir. Wayne Honeycutt. Yes.
He is my guest.
Oh, you know this gentleman?
I do.
All right. You might want to join him back there.
I'll be glad to introduce him.
Yes. Okay, a couple items of
Joe.
business. We do have a guest, but Scott, you will introduce the guest formally, so we'll skip over that part of it. Okay, Ron Leach,
Yes.
I need $1 from you.
And this is for?
All right, the district governor was here and you went out and played golf.
That's right.
And we can't excuse that.
But that's not the worst part.
What was the worst?
The worst part is I prepared a very nice bulletin with the bio, the governor's
Yes.
up here, and a picture of the governor and the whole works.
That's right.
And I sent that out to about 6 of you,
Yep.
but failed to send it to Laguna's Printing.
Oh! I had it to interview if I needed anything. I had it.
Well, you should have made a copy and sat in front of the governor or something.
Good morning, good afternoon. Go ahead, one time you come in. But I do have a picture of the district governor, and you didn't get to see it, but you saw his picture. But
There you go.
we got it covered.
Put that in with yours, because I know you're going to have to pay one short. For something.
You must have me mistaken with myself.
All right. Now, Richard Tucker,
Yo.
I just want to give you a compliment. Don't put the fine in that yet.
No, that was fair.
Okay.
That was
Devin, you
I
paid
paid the
yours.
fine.
All right.
There's mine.
Last week, I asked you 2 questions about the Rotarian magazine, and you were able to answer both of those.
I did.
So I was impressed. I don't know if everyone else was, but Richard came through and made the district governor look real good. So I was,
have a life.
yes, yes. All right. Now, here is the issue. All right, needs everyone's attention for this. This is serious. This is serious. All right. Okay. It's very disturbing for me personally, and others in this club probably when you find out. All right.
Stressful.
We had a young lady that had moved to Brooklyn. All right. And she is taking up an internship at a TV show.
It's a Brookford?
This is Brooklyn.
Oh.
All right. And on Friday in Manhattan, minding her business, she noticed some people behind her. And they were stalking her and stalking her. And she got really concerned. And she asked her assistant. She really didn't ask her assistant, but she got caught with these people catching up, and she panicked. And I've done a lot of research, and they have come to attention. I have documentation to show this. This is documented. I want to pass this around. I had 2 sides. I should pass it up.
Was there somebody behind her that we know?
Yes, sir. Here's a picture Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right.
From Mars.
All right. Here we go. Pass this one right here on. Here's a letter that went with it for the documentation. Evan, would you have anything else to add to this?
He had quite a bit to say when she texted him.
Yeah.
I have to tell you what it was too, because it was very embarrassing, so there may be some double finds
Well,
here.
she's having some concerns.
She
about
says,
this.
"Daddy, guess who I ran into? Bob and Susan from Hickory," and he says, "Bloody hell."
Really?
It's an expression of surprise. It's not an expression.
All right. Tiger for harassment of a young lady. I need $1 from you. Might as well get it out. This, you can't go anywhere without getting caught.
He's lucky it's not a felony charge.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I have not
Yeah.
seen the report yet.
So
All right, I'll get changed for you. All right.
Wayne,
Yes, sir.
maybe we need some explanation of the bag placed in the middle of the table here.
Donald?
Yes.
There's no fine this morning if you brought this in, so I want to say you're
Well-
exempted from the fine.
Yes, sir, I want to thank you guys for being so kind. My 2 weeks that I was at the helm. You guys were so kind and helpful, and so I want to
Oh.
thank you.
Fantastic.
And so I have paper towels and donuts for everyone.
Good deal.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
We can work on this. Dan and I, Ron over there, we will get this, we'll pass this round. So.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, do we have a guest name to identify?
All right, President Phil, do you mind if I just go ahead and work on this?
Please, go ahead.
Just give Rick Van Dette one of his own.
I'll let Ricky Van Dette introduce
Box,
his guest.
the whole box is.
City of New York.
Did the sergeant on the call on Rick introduce his guest?
No, he did not.
Oh, well,
my goodness.
that's all I gotta find. Rick, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, would you be kind, I'll pay the fine.
Those donuts
Thank
did
you.
it.
No, don't blame the donuts, I don't need a fine.
I would like to introduce
Yes.
to you Joe Westfall, who just happens to be my pastor at St. Luke's United Methodist Church, and he would like to join a morning Rotary Club.
Rick, there's only one.
Rick,
Yes.
We're the one.
I hope he finds one.
A good one.
He certainly doesn't want to drive to Conover.
Well, thank you all for being here this morning and tolerating yet another event of Hickory Sunrise Rotary Meeting. Your guests, you're in for a special treat. We don't always have donuts first thing in the morning, but we always have Wayne first thing in the morning to help us get going.
Phil, why don't you give us a 30-second report on your trip and what you saw?
I will do that in just a second. Mr. Hicks, thank you so much. I've had wonderful reports of your outstanding leadership during my absence. I know that it's great training as president-elect to take the helm for a little bit. I know I was fortunate enough to do that for Dr. Wimberly occasionally, and gets you ready for sitting in the throne here at the end of the table, wherever it may be, sometimes in the middle of the table.
Yes,
So thank you so much for that.
thank you.
So yes, quickly, I'll tell you a bit about our trip. We started about a year ago planning on where we should go to see the eclipse. Did a lot of climate looking and decided on a few places, one of them being western Nebraska. And it turned out to be absolutely perfect. The sky was clear, no clouds. We happened on a good place in the boondocks in Nebraska, along a 2-lane road, where we were able to pull off on the side of the road on a little bit of dirt road that headed into cattle country. About 150 feet off the road was the fence line for the cattle, and there was a fellow there tending the fence, making sure everything was okay, and he said, "Sure, you guys can park here, no problem. Nobody's going to be coming and going today. I was just here to double check the gate and make sure everything's okay." So we were there along with a couple from Saskatchewan, a family from Minnesota that was there and had delightful talk. We were there a couple hours before eclipse, so we got to chat some about all sorts of things. The poor fellow from Saskatchewan got sick of me asking questions about health care in Canada and how it compared to the insanity that's going on in our country right now. So it was very good. With a perfect sky. One of the things that surprised me that I should have remembered from reading that I didn't was during total eclipse, because we had clear horizon 360 degrees around us. I mean, we were in the plains of Nebraska with just a ever so slight rolling hills. We had sunset colors all the way around us. 360 degrees of sunset. The eclipse itself, of course, was fabulous. You could see the corona. We got to see the diamond ring. We got to see Bailey's beads, all that stuff, which I'll talk about when I have some pictures to show, because we just got in late yesterday. Great event. We also went to see various things like Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower and the Badlands and all that stuff in that area. Rode our bicycles in the Black Hills on a great trail through the Black Hills. Great event.
Bill, how long was the duration of the full eclipse where you were?
Totality was right at 2 minutes and 30 seconds for us. Yeah. Venus stood out very nicely off to the right of the sun. Didn't get to see an awful lot of other stars, but that may have been because I was just so distracted with her. There was cattle, of course, in that area where the fence was. We could see darkening happening very quickly to the west, slightly north of west, and then shroom, it got dark. Not total dark, but quite dark. And the cattle were fine at first. I thought, well, I'm kind of surprised they didn't start. Well, about halfway through totality, they started to move in a direction, and then right near the end of totality, they began to trot, because they were like, whoa, it's time to get back to wherever they bed down for the night. And of course, then it brightened just as fast as it darkened, and I thought, well, they'll stop. Oh no, they were committed now. They figured that was the end of that day. They were headed to go bed down. So we enjoyed that. Well, also have learned that the Carolinas are not the only place in this country with rednecks. They have rednecks in Nebraska because some yahoos have built Carhenge. It was in the area where we thought we would first go to see the eclipse. Carhenge is a reproduction of Stonehenge in England, only made with automobiles. Stuck in the ground and capped on top and all that. Well, it apparently had thousands of eclipse viewers trying to cram their way into the circle to watch the eclipse from, because of all the Druid stuff with Stonehenge. And so we avoided Alliance, Nebraska, and wound up in the boonies, which turned out to be just absolutely perfect. So great trip, lots of fun stuff to see. Ran into a lot of Lewis and Clark stuff. So you're probably going to get a program from me about Lewis and Clark, because it was really very interesting to see all that stuff. Okay, enough of me. Before we get onto the program, very quickly, is there anything that we need to deal with as a club?
We can talk about after the program.
After the program, excellent. Okay, good. Scott, please.
I've been a teacher for 30 years, and I've never had a finer and brighter student than Jordan Makant. Jordan is, some of you I'm sure know his family, Mindy and Russell Makant. He actually, relevant to this club, he is the head technician for conferences and events at Lenore Rhine, so I think we ought to induct him into the club so that he can help us figure out our AD issue. He is also assistant editor of Wild Goose Poetry Review, assistant director of Poetry Hickory, one of the founders of a Hickory Playground. I heard him talking with Dan Green about that a few moments ago. So he's only 20 years old, and he already has more titles than I think I had before I turned 50. And he has also already published his first collection of poetry, and that by and large is why I invited him here to share some of his work with us. You know that I'm all about poetry. But I think he'll also be more than happy to talk with us about any of his other activities and connections. So feel free to ask questions. Jordan.
strange. I'm not normally an early riser, so it felt a little weird to me. My dad asked me when I was getting ready this morning what I was doing up so early, because I normally sleep as late as I possibly can. And I said, for some reason, I'm going to read poetry at 7 a.m. So I'm still waking up, so I apologize. Yeah, this is my first poetry book, and I didn't get it, it didn't come in until Monday. And it's the first time I've ever held the finished product in my hand and like really opened the book is like right now. So that feels very, very cool, very, very strange. So I'm going to start off with reading one of the first poems that I ever wrote that I still consider good. Just late night with myself in a 4-cylinder. Sometimes I like to get in the car and drive, just drive. No music, no podcasts, no NPR, just me and the road and the whine of the engine. Second gear, third gear, fourth, fifth if I know the area, know there aren't any cops around to ruin my fun. But it's not about speed, my time on the road. It's not about an end goal or how fast I get there. Or maybe it is. Maybe the end goal is peace of mind, and the movement of the car, 30, 40, 70 miles per hour, is my mind's way of getting there, a metaphorical sense of progression as profound as it is profoundly stupid. I drive anyway, because it makes me feel better, or because it helps me think. Probably because it's the only time I can be alone. Probably because it's the only time I can just be. When I drive, my mind clears, and when my mind clears, I think of you. You being the first girl I had a crush on, the first girl I kissed, the first girl I had sex with. You being the first person who betrayed my trust, the first person who convinced me to trust again. You being the person who got me drunk and maybe added a little extra something in there. You being my mother and father and sister, all the little voices in my head telling me to act better, do better, be better. You being God, if he's there, if he gives a shit, or if he's just there to watch the fireworks. You being me and the way I think, the experiences I've had, the regrets, the hate, the fear I live with, like Sisyphus and his boulder. You being all of us, I guess, but mostly just me. Sometimes a cute girl I see at the gas station as I swing past doing 30 and a 25 like a total badass. When I think of you on those drives, I stop just being. Or maybe that's what being is. An angsty, overly emotional, overly existential, overly wordy breakdown. Or maybe being is just allowing yourself to acknowledge that the feelings are there. That yes, they are profoundly stupid, but that they're profound too, and maybe you are just like everyone else. Maybe everyone else has these feelings too, so maybe you aren't crazy after all. And that's a pretty good feeling, right? I went driving the other day and I tried to clear my mind. Instead, I saw you. I waved, but I don't think you saw me. You were driving, just driving the other way, away from me, away from the drives we used to share, the lives now only connected by the stars, the moon, the quiet, sad whine of our engines, the quiet, sad being of me and you and anyone in this awesome, lonely, stupid, profound world. So that poem, that was the first poem that I ever really took seriously. Until the time that I was, I think, 17 years old, I did not like poetry. I did not grow up reading a ton of poetry. I didn't grow up writing it at all. I had sworn it off pretty much. I thought it was pretty stupid, to be honest. And then I took a class with Scott, took a creative writing class, and I informed him that I wanted to be a fiction writer. And he said, okay, that's fine. You have to write a certain number of pages for this class, and it can be fiction. But I'd encourage you to give poetry a chance. I said, but I don't want to have to do, I don't want to have to follow the rules of poetry. And then Scott listed a couple of rules for me, and then he explained that you could break them. And that effectively, there were no rules so long as you could break the rules successfully and effectively. And so I said, okay, I'll try that. And so I wrote the way I think. And that's that. Very stream of consciousness, very jumbled, very rambly. And as time went by, I had life happen to me. A variety of experiences that I realized I could turn into something that might help other people. So with that in mind, here's how to be alone. How to be alone. Not that you ever are. She is curled up beside you, naked body smooth in darkness, still clenched fist, the only sign everything is not all right. At least this one wasn't serious, you think. The reason's already lost to cigarette smoke, fog, the silent determination you share. Wake up feeling like you never went to sleep, like you snorted something strong and drank enough to forget, but not quite enough to pass out. Try to hide the tears when she says you hit her in your sleep. Try to make her understand how sorry you are. Try to believe her when she says the night terrors aren't your fault. Write a letter explaining yourself. Confess to being a stupid teenager wanting to be cool and thinking that meant doing whatever the cool college kids were doing. Admit you may have done more than smoked, and you may have drank a little too much, and you may have woken up naked and alone. Don't tell her everything, though. Insist the night terrors are rare, and you're okay now. Start another fight, or wait until she does and respond as only someone in love can. Show her how well you know her. Bring up old memories she wanted you to forget. Pick at old scabs until the referee calls first blood. After, lick each other's wounds. Promise you'll be better, do better next time. Wait until the next time she has a meltdown and then walk away, just like that. Drop everything that might burn you and hope that September night air will cool you down. Go on long drives with other girls, climb back into bed sometime after midnight and hope she knows how much you love her. End things for real this time, or at least until the weekend when the whiskey leads you back to her bed. Our bed, she whispers in your ear, our bed. Try not to think about that other guy you heard slept there last. Try not to think about him sleeping in her bed, your bed, our bed, she whispers. I love you. I missed you. Tell yourself she doesn't mean it. Tell yourself none of this will last. Kiss her. Fall asleep. Admit that yes, maybe you did kiss that girl, but you were on a break, so she's not allowed to be upset, and besides she did it too. Once she's asleep, take quizzes on psychopathy. Look up the definition of gaslighting. Ignore incoming messages on her phone. Try to keep pretending red flags are green. Finally, walk away. Try not to look back as something you once loved is destroyed. Avoid thinking about the emptiness in the pit of your stomach. Avoid thinking about how you can taste the disgust. Try to avoid thinking about who was at fault. Keep moving forward. Try to avoid thinking. So, over the period of, I started college when I was 16 years old. I graduated high school pretty young. Started college when I was 16, and made what, in retrospect, is a relatively stupid decision, which was to live on campus 2 years before turning legal. That was good, and that it made me grow up a little bit faster. It was bad in that I was a 16, 17-year-old spending the majority of my time with anywhere between 19 and 22-year-olds, which is a recipe for somewhere between a lot of fun and disaster. And I learned a lot, but one of the things I learned was the way in which you can connect you kind of attach yourself to people who probably ought not be probably not ought to attach yourself to. So one of these people was my girlfriend for the better part of 2 years, and that is in large part the inspiration for this book. It touches on some other things, as you've heard, but that's the majority of it. So here's 21st birthday. On the day you turned 20, we joked about you one day buying me alcohol, laughed about the age difference, and about how I somehow still seemed older. We had been dating a month, a year if you didn't count October, and we were back to what we were, back to the honeymoon phase, back to planning to want to spend the rest of our lives together. And now, you are somewhere else, and I'm still here, wondering what happened, wondering what I had ever thought was so funny. Inhaling memories. It comes when you least expect it, long after you thought it was long over. Maybe you throw yourself on the bed only to be greeted by the sudden memory of her smell. Maybe you step into your shower singular, and remember the times it was your shower plural, the times you took turns inhaling each other, exchanging identities, desperate in your attempt to become one. That's when it hits you. Not when you invite someone else over, take off her shirts and her pants, and cover her back up again in your bed. Not while you're inside her. It is only after, when this new girl asks if you want to get a shower together. That's when you hear it. The little voice in the back of your head, telling you it's your fault, reminding you of your mistakes. So you say yes to this new girl. Pull her in, hold her tight, breathe, hoping she doesn't hear the voices too. Hoping that if you inhale deeply enough, you might replace memories you can't erase. So, I started writing these poems after I had learned some things about my previous that particular relationship, and that's all started happening in August and September of last year. So this has been a fairly quick process that I was humbled and honored by. So I'll kind of read you a few more poems from here before moving on to some other things. This is probably my favorite poem in the book. It's called Anagnorisis. Anagnorisis is a Greek noun. It's the point in the plot where the character discovers the true nature of his situation. So it's in Greek tragedies and Greek drama plays. There's two forms of anagnorisis. If it's a heroic play, it's where the hero learns how to fix the problem, and if it's a sad play, it's when the hero realizes that everything is screwed. So this is anagnorisis. Even after you admitted to all the lying, I still found myself surprised somehow when he told me about the distance you had gone just to try and forget me. 13 hours round trip, you drove in the same car you always said was going to break down as you went to get food, soda, condoms left unused. But that wasn't what surprised me, really. Not as much as the memory of you reading the 6-page letter I wrote, looking at me, kissing me, saying yes. What surprised me, what still surprises me, is that I didn't smell the road on you. Didn't see the edges of your wilting soul, or the vacuity of the love in your eyes. Didn't yet sense how I had already lost you. Before moving on from this, I think I'll read two final poems from here. This is Prodigal You. Look at you, standing tall in your well-rehearsed innocence, looking at me through the glass when you think I don't see, yet meeting my gaze when I do. Your eyes an open challenge, the blue an insistence of love, the green specks a reminder of all the things love can do. Look at you, smiling, laughing as you try to joke with me like a lost friend suddenly found, as you insist to everyone that you're an adult and it's fine and this isn't awkward at all. Look at you, asking for help, wanting me to know you've changed, but stopping south of an actual apology. Look at you, prodigal you, hoping I will become the father waiting to welcome you home. Look at you, feasting with the pigs. Look at me, standing too tall in my well-rehearsed innocence to realize we share the same trough. And finally, there's a lot of memories I could end on with this book, but this is my favorite one. This is a memory I don't think will ever go away. It makes me giggle like a schoolboy. It's a very fond memory for me. This is Oakwood Cemetery, late autumn. I'd like to apologize to the man whose grave we lay on that night. Or not apologize exactly, but thank him for the southern hospitality he showed two kids too in love to know the truth about life, love, how nothing lasts forever. Even as we stained his final resting place with the plight of a love hardly won, our coupling was undisturbed, blessed by the quiet indifference of a world sound asleep, dreaming of two lost kids lying together in an old cemetery, learning how to love, looking up at the stars, wondering if somewhere amongst the void, someone was looking back at us, an insignificant dot in the distant sky, meaningless, yet so full of life. So, Impossible Angles. I have several copies with me. They're $10 for sale for cash. How much time do I have left, actually? I don't know. 2 minutes.
Yeah, just a couple.
Lordy. Well, I guess I'll just transition then, rather than reading some of my newer work, to asking whether or not there are any questions about poetry or about me.
So what are some of the rules that you could break?
That's a good question.
Sound like you broke most of them. At least that's what your parents would think.
Yes, sir. They haven't read the book yet, so I'll report back.
Thank you, sir.
I think the most important rule you can break is the idea that there are strict limits to what you can and can't do. There's this idea that I had growing up about poetry that you need to have a certain form, that the words need to rhyme, the lines need to have a certain length, they need to have some sort of symmetry to them almost, and they need to be full of vowels and older Middle English. And that's just not true. That's just not true at all. There really isn't a way to do poetry, and some of my newer work, I think, reflects that even more in terms of, if you look at the words on the page of some of my newer poems, they're blocks of text, they're a paragraph. And could that be described as a poem, or is it just a paragraph? I think yes is the answer. There's no strict rule. I call it a poem, and so it's a poem. It's how you deliver it and what you think of it. So I think that's kind of the number one rule I wrote, was the one inside my own head. Sure.
I didn't mention when I was introducing Jordan that he's also on the steering committee for TEDx Hickory, and the theme for TEDx Hickory this year is simply the word next. So what's next for Jordan Makant?
Oh boy. Well, I graduate from Lenore Ryan in December, and I am still in the process of discerning what I ought to do next. I'm beginning the procedure for something like Peace Corps or graduate school and a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. More immediately, what is next is trying to go to as many readings for the book as possible, continuing to get the Hickory Playground better established. Myself and my two co-founders have had 2 very successful years for our theater arts charity. And so last year this past summer, we were able to raise a little bit over $13,000, a little bit over $8,000, which will be able to be donated to arts in the local community. We're keeping the rest for budgeting for next year, which is fantastic. So we're hoping to make year 3 even better. We just pulled 2 new members for our full-time team in, continuing to help Poetry Hickory and trying to make TEDx as best as it can be. So that's what's next for me.
We hope Hickory's in your future.
If I do, I will certainly come back. Yes, sir.
If you're looking for an altruistic outlet for your drive, Rotary has a program called Peace Scholars.
Okay.
And we probably should help you understand what Peace Scholars are and do. They're a graduate level program at 3 or 4 locations throughout the world. One of them happens to be over in near Raleigh.
Okay.
But more importantly, there's like one in London, one in Stockholm, where the institutes are held. But we should investigate if you would fit the pro forma qualifications and if you would be interested.
It's called the Peace Scholars.
Peace Scholars,
Peace
yes.
I'll get it.
Let's discuss it.
Please, yeah.
Did you knowingly read that poem in the room where the girl's dad is present in this club?
All right, well, I'll leave. Man, you scared me for a second. I live in South Carolina. I was like, thank you so much.
Ever energetic Sergeant at Arms makes these for us. So since you live in the South, at least part of the year it's hot and humid, and you're going to drink something cold, so you're going to need that.
Thank you so much.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry.
Thank you.
All righty. Rick, you have some news for us?
Well, just a couple of things. First of all, Monday, Scott and I went to City Hall and met with Kyle Butler, who is the person directing the bond program, to share with him 2 things in which we want to be involved. And let me just read what we gave him. The first proposal is creating a Veterans Memorial for the city of Hickory. And we wrote that the need is, while there are many Veterans Memorials throughout Catawba County, there is no Veterans Memorial in the city of Hickory. And so here's our proposal. Hickory Sunrise Rotary, along with the Foothills Veterans Helping Veterans, will design and create, and these are my words, and then Scott elaborated on it more fully, a garden surrounding the World War I cannon on Union Square. There'd be a marker designated in the area as a City of Hickory Veterans Memorial that would include more historical information about the cannon. Most people, in fact, he didn't know the historical significance of the cannon. Most people don't, other than it's a good place for kids to climb. And we said that both organizations would maintain the site. We reiterated it wouldn't cost the city of Hickory a penny, because Foothills Veterans Helping Veterans and Hickory Sunrise Rotary have extra money that we can use to help maintain. And then Scott, I'll finish and Scott can add to it. The second proposal was creating a historical marker on the site of the Miracle of Hickory. Here's the need. While many people in the area have heard of the Miracle of Hickory, few can identify where that polio hospital/camp was located. Here's our proposal. Rotary International has worked to eradicate polio throughout the world and hopes to see that eradication by the time of the 75th anniversary of the Miracle of Hickory on October 24th, 2019. World Polio Day is October 24, 2017. And Hickory Sunrise Rotary would like to set up a commemorative display on the original site. We propose to hold a commemorative gathering each October 24th, beginning with October 24th, 2017, with programs retelling the miracle story and holding a special dedication on the Diamond Jubilee celebration on October 24th, 2019. So those are the proposals. And you want to elaborate what you added to it?
Oh, I don't remember everything I
added
to it.
He got specific about what the garden, what it could look like. He was very much in favor of both proposals, especially the one about the Veterans Memorial, because he lost his father in Afghanistan. And so, and he said, I was speaking for a lot of people on the bond commission and in the city offices that we're very much in favor of supporting veterans. So we think this could happen.
We did go in at an outstanding time, because they are preparing to have, I believe you said on the 18th, a meeting that will solidify the repositioning of things in Union Square. So this is getting in at the moment that they're saying, okay, this is where it's going to be.
And their plans right now are to relocate the cannon. It'll stay on Union Square, but it'll come closer to
Second Street.
Second Street, where that's where your store is. Okay, closer this way, and it'll be a smaller plot of ground than it is on now in their plans so far. But at least they know what we want to do, and even in that particular site, we could make it work.
In fact, it'll work in some ways better than where it is now, because what people currently refer to as the flag court is going to be cleared for a parking area. So that parking area can easily be blocked off, seating set up in the parking area for events. And where the cannon will be flanked on either side and an L by the flags, including, of course, the American flag and the state of North Carolina flag. So it will, even in the design they already have, it should attract more attention as something of significance. And with what we can add to it, it should really stand out.
One question will be the base, the very base of it. Unlike right now, will the very base of it be surrounded by concrete that is ground level, so that right now sometimes the grass will grow up, and if it's ground level, when they mow, they don't have to worry about having a special weed eater to mow or something.
I'm not really sure.
Or is it, I think what you just described, it would probably be totally surrounded by concrete if it's in the middle of the flag.
No, there is, he said there will be a three-sided planter box around it, so it's not going to be entirely concrete. I don't know, I haven't seen their drawing exactly what it'll be. And I think they're open to input from us when we get to that point, within certain constraints.
But since the bond commission knows what we want to do, that'll be part of their discussion. And we feel really good. And he kept telling us, y'all came at a good time for this. So
Excellent.
Rick, will that next meeting be open to the public? Would somebody be able to go and answer questions?
I don't know, but we did say that we are willing to talk to the bond commission folks at any time. And Scott knows a few people on the bond commission, so it doesn't hurt our cause at all. But we will keep you posted as we find out more information.
It was a very positive meeting. And, I think it's definitely moving forward. Thanks again for setting it up.
Good. It's a great opportunity for Rotary to expand our visibility here in the community, working on both those projects. So that's exciting for the club. Everything's still on track for the dance? Any dance folks, you need to say anything?
No, we're getting some sponsorship in. Scott was gracious enough to give us a check for a couple $100 from his coffee house, and towards the sponsorship for the dance. And there'll be others coming in. Myself, Bob Reinhardt, Rick Van Dett have all collated a letter, put it together, sent it in last week's mail to 88 of the CEOs, Hickory City, Catawba County, urging for their support, whatever support that might be. So we'll see how that produces itself in another week or so. We'll see if we get any response at all. So, yes, sir.
Is that letter, can that be used to solicit ads?
I would think so.
Yeah.
If I could get a copy, I mean, there's some people I can talk to, I just need to have some literature to give to them. And tied into that, I need to know also where the art, whatever else might be used to construct the ad should be sent. Does that go to Kenny?
It'll go to Kenny, yes.
You mind telling me your...
Kenny at lagunasprinting.com.
It's on there, okay.
I do need some more posters, Kenny, if all the posters are out.
I need a copy of that letter too,
Yes. I'm sorry?
I need a copy of that letter
Sure,
too,
as soon as
please.
I get it, I'll go ahead and send it out.
I've got one question. All of us have been asked to sell an ad or two if we can. When you sell an ad, would you mind sharing that with everybody so that there's no duplication? That 2 or 3 of us don't go to the same place, it's already been asked and solicited. So if you sell something, just let us all know who's on board so we can go other places.
I need somebody to help my poor memory. The credit card size ad was 125. How much was a quarter page?
200.
2?
200.
And then a half page and full page, right?
I've got it in my folder here. Bob, I can show you after.
Could you attach that and just send a copy of that little picture to us, and then
I'll
we
send
have
it
that.
out.
We have that because I keep.
Okay.
But if he sends it like that, everybody will have it, and we don't.
I'll send
We've
it
already
out.
got pledges for
Kenny will send it out.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny.
We've already got pledges for somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 towards the dance. So hopefully that will double and triple as we get closer to October 28th. 2 tickets have been sold. Only 298 to go, and I'm sure we will. And we're just hoping for a big
Do we have, who has the tickets?
I have the tickets.
By the way, I did get a report back from a travel agent, and so the next time you're thinking about going on a cruise, make sure you consider Carnival, because here's the deal they got. They don't give out any cruises anymore for this type of thing, but if a Rotary Club books a cruise, the whole Rotary Club books a cruise, they give you a $4 discount.
Hey, all right.
So keep Carnival in your hearts when you go cruising.
Remind us of that every time we come.
So, on the income side about our push for our club in the education realm, because of course that's what funds our scholarships. On the expenditure side, I received an email Monday, I think, when I was on the road from Mountain View Elementary School with a very nice letter thanking us again for our support of their folders that go home with the students. I looked at it on my little tiny screen, and there's no surprises. I think it's a little bit under the $1,500 that we were expecting the cost to be, but it's right in line with what we expected. And a very nice letter, which I will have for you next week when I have a chance to get squared away. Yo.
I just need to know where to send the check.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting to get that information.
Yeah, I'll check with them and see how they want the check made out and where to send it. But it's very, very nice folders, and of course I'll ask to get a sample so that you all can see what we did.
This is the old one.
The old one, yeah. Right.
And on the inside, have y'all seen this?
And on the inside will be us.
Ours can go right here, and it's a pocket, so stuff will go here, but our
136.
logo still would be seen, no matter how much is in the pockets.
Right.
I've got a copy of the final product.
Okay, great.
Did they correct the website? Or did they correct the website?
It's .org.
5 minutes.
Yeah, we're running low.
Can I interject one thing?
Yeah.
Does anyone know about the traveling Vietnam Veterans Wall that's coming to Conneaut?
I'm speaking
Okay.
here on the closing ceremony at Monday night, but it's coming in on the 8th, and, which is a Friday.
And there's an
Maybe come on
opening.
Thursday, I think.
There's an opening ceremony, right? I
Yeah.
think.
Who's replacing Rick Van Dett on the
What?
MCing? You MC'd it the last time. Who's replacing you?
I didn't MC it, I spoke at it. But I didn't
You were
MC
the
it.
primary speaker, I'll
Well,
tell you.
thank you, but I'm gonna do that on Monday night, but there'll be activities, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. And let me share this with you. If you know a Vietnam veteran who has not gone to the wall in Washington,
Get him there.
yes, sir, get him there. Austin and I had a long talk about that. His dad has never been to the wall, won't go to the wall. And Jim and I can tell you, going to the wall, you get it out of your system. It's a very cathartic exercise. You have to do that. So if you know somebody, and Austin's going to try to get his dad there, if at all possible. So it's a special event. Thanks for bringing
Where,
that up.
if you Austin could get into the traveling wall.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Get into that
That will
first.
break the
Yeah.
ground,
Right.
you know, so that.
2-minute warning.
Yeah, we're getting real short on time.
The
Quickly.
square works, so if you want to pay, see me.
Great.
All right, one other thing, Steve has a personal announcement to the club about his son, so you might want to share it. I think it's appropriate to share it.
Oh, yeah, my son is in the flood zone in Houston. And, but I got an email from him this morning that they had to be evacuated yesterday. But they were evacuated in their neighborhood up to one of their friends' home that they knew. So they're not in a shelter anywhere. And he just texted me a few minutes ago and said it appears that the water's receding. And it was sort of funny, I chuckled. He said, I'm going to borrow my neighbor's boat and go check my house. So, and he said, unfortunately, a lot of people in the area did not have flood insurance.
Yeah. They say only 2 out of 10 in Houston.
And he said, by the grace of God, they chose to get it. So he's in good shape as far as that goes.
Did he have water in his house?
Well, when he left, it was up to the front door. And he told his wife, as he told me as we were talking, he said, this is not the time to pray, this is the time to move. So they got on the boats, and he said, you know, it was funny, you know, he's got 4 little girls. So, you know, loading them in a canoe and getting them.
Good.
So what's the condition of the water? I mean, is any sewage flooded over?
Alligators,
Oh,
snakes.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a public health
That
mess.
depends on.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes, sir.
Classroom Connection is having a ribbon cutting on Friday, 9:30 a.m. You all invited.
Thank you. Anything else? Oh,
One last thing, got a surprise guest for our dance. I failed to mention it a few months ago, but I was, there's a fella by the name, he goes to HCAM, he's 16 years old, his name's Johnny White, and he's got the gift of just a harmonic voice that's going to sing prior to the beat band coming on. He's made it through the final round of American Idol in Asheville.
woo.
And he's in our community, and he's going to sing for us
Great.
that night. So, yeah.
All
All the
right.
things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Gavin, you are now an editor on the club Facebook page.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't met him.
Oh, okay.
Final.